Hey Facebook friends and enemies, this is Nick George coming to you live on my way home from work. I just wanted to talk to you about the usual. So we all saw what happened on the fake Trump assassination. Some of us know that both sides are 100% controlled. Some of us don't. For those of us that do know that both sides are 100% controlled, this will not be a surprise. For those of you that think that one side or the other is more or less controlled by the oldest terrorist organization on the planet, this might be something that chafes your hide and makes you want to challenge me in a video discussion, live or recorded, so that other people can benefit from that interaction. I welcome that. I've been welcoming that for about 3 years, and there haven't been any takers yet. There's been a few, but typically they end up agreeing with me. So I'm looking for somebody that disagrees, that wants to really stand up for what they know to be true, so that we can see some passion from the other side of the argument. Because there doesn't seem to be a lot of passion from people that adopt the official media narrative ever. And when they do show passion, it's usually belligerent. And they're counting on policy enforcement to come save them from actually having to show some intellectual integrity. Either policy enforcement or just peer group pressure, arbitrary peer group pressure, to come save them from the corner that they end up backing themselves in intellectually. What I'd like to say is that we know that the shooters were in at least 3 locations. And I'm not talking about the shooters that took out the bad guys. I'm talking about people that were tasked with firing bullets towards people, towards innocent people. There's a guy on the water tower, which is the ultimate highest point in the area, within a 3/4 mile range of ballistic capability with any type of round. You're looking at about a 3/4 mile range. And in that 3/4 mile range, there's the water tower. And then there's the buildings that were all in the media right now. All those metal buildings that are connected are part of a group called the American Glass Research Company or Corporation. And the American Glass Research Corporation is basically a subsidiary of BlackRock, and it was acquired, that real estate, those buildings were acquired a mere 4 months before this incident happened by BlackRock. We're supposed to believe that it's a coincidence that the guy who this whole thing is being pinned on is a student who was asked to be in a commercial for BlackRock in a non-paid position as an actor, as a secondary actor, as just a silent participant, a student that is taking dictation from a teacher. And so he has a very short spot in that 30-minute BlackRock commercial, but it had been out for a long time before BlackRock decided to take it down, because people started to realize that while they didn't pay him to be in the commercial, they say, he was in the commercial, which means that he must have signed disclosures. And a lot of people that are trying to put their toe in the water of an acting career aren't afraid to do their first commercial for free, as anyone knows that has ever tried to do an acting career or a commercial career. So this guy was 20 years old. He was in a BlackRock commercial, and then he finds himself climbing on to a BlackRock corporate-owned building under American Glass Research Corporation. And now a guy has come out with a video, I can't remember his name right now, but you'll find him easily. A guy has come out with a video who has broken down the engineering of these shots through audio forensics. And they found that the shots prove that there was at least a few shots that came from about 70 feet behind the shooter that were going in exactly the same direction, but they were coming from a place that was several feet over and 70 feet back, 60 to 70 feet back. When you look at that, where that location must have been, in coordination to where the shooter was killed, on top of the BlackRock building, the American Glass Research building, just over and 70 feet back is the only open window in the whole complex. And that just so happens to be where the Secret Service say that their sniper teams were holed up inside that BlackRock-owned American Glass Research corporate metal prefab building. They were up in the second floor, and they were looking out that window running security. Now, if you're standing in that window, even if you're only a couple feet back, you can clearly see where the shooter was posted up. So they weren't doing their job very good unless they were way back and they were looking through the portal of the window from further back where they couldn't see the guy adjacent out to the left and just down a floor on the building in front of them's roof. So even if we let them off the hook for all of that, what were they doing that far back in the second floor of the building looking out an open window, unless they were also running a sniper team? And that's what the audio forensics seems to point to. There was at least 2 rifles being used in the attack on that general direction. Enter the third potential rifle that is shooting at the innocents on the water tower. Nobody's talking about the water tower, but we have a visual of an anomaly that's the size of a person moving in and out of coverage on top of that water tower. He's the furthest away. Obviously, that person would have been carrying the most high power of the rifles. The audio forensics show that there is evidence that there were at least 3 different rifles used. We know for a fact that there were 2 based on the angles and the audio forensics. So the story of one lone gunman is dead. The use of a state sanctioned story of somebody actually died is not good enough to justify saying that Trump's ear must have been hit by a real bullet. Once you understand that there's 2 separate shooters that have 2 separate missions, one's to take the heat and die, one's to actually kill real people and not ever come close to hitting Trump, that's when you start to understand what's going on here. I want Trump to be president as opposed to any of the other evil people that are going to lower our economy. I didn't want Trump to lose his presidency the last time to Biden. I thought that was a deep state move. I think this is a deep state move. People don't understand that they control both sides. So why would they position Biden into office if they're on Trump's side? Well, if you're raising a bunch of children and you can't get them to do what you want, one of the best ways that you can get them to do what you want is the takeaway. And that's what taking away Trump was and putting Biden in office. It was the takeaway. They threatened us with a bad time. And for 4 years, they pulled back on the slingshot of the pendulum. And then they let it go and added a spin on it, which was the nick of the ear, which we find in Leviticus chapter 8 and Leviticus chapter 14 as a form of social engineering that is thousands of years old. It was first used by Moses and Aaron to ordain the priesthood, ordain men of God. And so what we see here is the oldest terrorist organization on the planet using a page from its oldest playbook to maintain a monetary system of control, a death cult that's using a monetary system of control and using an old system, an archaic system of placing blood on the right ear, like Aaron did his ordained priesthood in the book, in the chapters that I just said. I can't remember them right now. I think it was Leviticus chapter 8 and Leviticus chapter 14. So if you check out the marriage of symbology that Christians are trying to make to ears, to Trump's right ear being pierced and the blood being placed upon it by God on television, then you start to understand how black magic has always worked through this literature that we call the NT and the OT, which are both simply software patches to maintain the monetary system of control that was first implemented through the temple banking structure of Babylon, and then it was carried on further through the pontifical orders that metamorphosized into the Church of ISIS and Sol Invictus and Jesus Christ, which is what we were left with today. They're experts at creating their controlled opposition groups. Anybody that reads the early 1500s manifestation of the Oath of Induction for the Society of Jesus will clearly find their manifesto for controlling the public by any means necessary, and typically through controlling their opposition options. So their opposition movements become infiltrated and controlled, or they are 100% designed from the beginning by the Jesuits in the employment of the pontifical orders for the oldest family, for the longest reigning family dynasties in the world, which first established themselves through the monetary policy system of control and the tax collecting system and the biblical ecclesiastical system that acts as the support structure for it. I would like to have a debate with anybody that disagrees with this information. This challenge has been out for 3 years. Obviously, I'm not stopping in my travels down the road of wisdom, so I'm only gaining in power and knowledge. And so every day that this challenger that doesn't exist doesn't show up, I'm only getting more robust in my ability to make short work of those who are representing the monetary system and the biblical matrix of control that still is running the deep state today. That's it, guys. Spread the word. Change only happens as fast as you're willing to spread the word. You have to be bold. And the only way that you get bold is through knowledge, not faith, as I am demonstrating. There's not a faithful person out there that's willing to challenge knowledge. And that's because knowledge is power and faith is being bound to a fascism. Have a good day, and I care about you guys.